Citibank 1, the budget bounce 0. 0. Hi friends, I'm Jen with the Budget Bounce. We are living life on a budget and fighting our way through a mountain of stupid debt. We follow Dave Ramsey's baby steps and are currently on baby step number 2, the debt snowball. If you would like to follow our journey and learn more about getting out of debt, then please feel free to subscribe down below, and you can tap the bell so that you'll get notifications every time we post a new video. So back in July, I did a collaboration video with several other YouTubers where we talked about our mid-year 2018 wins and fails. In that video, if you saw it, which I will link a card up here in the corner for you, if you saw that, you know that I had a very recent fail just the week before I filmed that video. So I've been talking about it in my subsequent videos, and so I've been promising that I would do a video that I share in detail that failure and what that was like. And I'm going to be sharing 4 lessons that I learned the hard way. So stick around. So the point of this video is to share how this went down from beginning to end so others can learn from my mistakes and hopefully avoid them altogether. Let me start by saying that I completely and totally own this. This was all on me. This account was in my name. It was my responsibility to get a payment arrangement set up, and I did not do it. And that is what brought the wrath of Citibank down on us. Citibank was the last card in my name that we needed to get set up on a payment arrangement after we had stopped making payments to almost all of our credit cards, which we had a lot of them, back in August 2017. I actually have a couple of other videos that reference this challenge that we had been going through. So I will put a link up here in the description to the playlist that includes those videos. So anyhow, you can learn more about that in our greatest challenge and also amazing news for our family. So of all the credit card accounts that I had in my name with balances on them, Citibank was the largest. Interest and fees had been accruing for several months to the point that it added like another $1,000 onto the balance that I had at the time that we stopped paying. And it was around $1,000 before they actually closed the account, and all of that finally stopped. I had been, the Citibank card and that whole thing had been weighing on me, and I had been putting it off because I know Citibank is a Goliath in the industry, and I just was intimidated by them, to be honest. So if you've ever listened to Dave Ramsey's podcast, watched him on YouTube, listened to his radio show, whatever, it's all the same thing. If you've ever listened to him, you've heard him talk about how credit card companies can just be really, really nasty. And Citibank is one that he has talked about in the past. And also callers will call in and share their experiences that they had with Citibank. They were the most relentless in the calls. They were, I believe they were the first call of the day, every day. So the last payment I made to them was in July of 2017, and I didn't actually call them until May of 2018. So we started our life on a budget on February 1st of 2018, and I was steadily working each month to get more and more accounts set up with payment arrangements and whatnot, and it took me until May to get the guts up to call them. And I made 2 calls in May and didn't get it done, and then I called again like the second week of July, and I got a really, really nice woman. So in the first couple of calls, I learned that this had been referred out to a law firm. So I called that law firm in July, and this woman was so nice, and she, was very compassionate And she asked if we could do 24 months. And I was like, I cannot do $377 a month. There's just no way. And so she said, okay, so do you think maybe you could do 36 months? So that was a $252 payment. And I was like, oh, I don't know without crunching the numbers. So I promised her that I would go home that night and crunch numbers. And if I couldn't get it done that night, that I would get it done the next night so I could call her on Thursday. She gave me her name and said that I could ask for her when I called her back. So now, fast forward to Thursday, and I have done all the number crunching, and I've told Matt I'm going to try and get a $150 payment every month, but at the most, I'm going to agree to the 36 month for $252. So I give a call. Well, I was going to give the call between 5 and 6 p.m. They're open till 6, and I am very busy during the day, and those kind of calls take a while, and they're not open on the weekends, so I had to call from work. So I was going to call around 5:30, but before that happened, my daughter texted me and said, hey, this blonde lady just stopped by and handed me some papers for you and asked me for my name, which sent up a red flag. And so I forwarded that text message to Matt and asked him if he thought I had just been served. And he didn't think so, because we were under the impression that, because I was the same, we were both under the impression that you had to be served in person. Somebody had to hand it to you. And so I said, okay, well, when you get home from work, because I was going to work late, I said, when you get home from work, I'd like you to open that envelope and take a look at it and let me know what it is. So he did that. And it was about 5:15 when he got home, and he took a picture of the paperwork and he sent it to me. And sure enough, it was a lawsuit. And I was instantly a crying mess in my office. So I closed my door because there were a couple of people sitting right outside my office who were still there, and cried really hard because I was immediately, in my last video, I talked about the feelings that all came over me. I won't get into all that detail now. I'll go ahead and link that up here for you so you can watch that if you haven't seen it yet. But just immediately I was taken back to January of 2018 and this feeling of no control, and like I just ruined everything, and I can't believe I made this mistake, and I just took it all on myself in that moment, and I just needed a few minutes to get that all out, and then I composed myself. And then I picked up and picked up the phone and called the law firm. And here goes my son trimming right in front of the window. Sorry. Okay, he's working his way down the house. Okay, so anyhow, so I called the company and I asked for the woman that I spoke to on Tuesday, and the woman that answered the phone would not transfer me. And I could tell immediately that she did not have the same demeanor as the person I worked with on Tuesday. So I started crying as soon as I got on the phone and started talking about what was happening. I was feeling all these really negative feelings. I was, humiliated, embarrassed. I was angry at myself. I was all these things. And she just was not helpful at all, I gotta say. She was very abrasive and didn't have any compassion. And I suppose if you have to talk to people that are going through this stuff all day long, I might not be either. It's why I don't do that business, do that work. But it just did not go well. She got me so riled up. I had my spreadsheet in front of me, and they asked for all of your income and all of your expenses. And I was giving her that, but she wasn't listening to me and taking into account the $800 in child support that my husband pays every month. And we were totally in limbo. Matt hadn't, all of his deductions and stuff hadn't settled down. I don't even think his first child support had come out yet. We just knew it was coming. So everything I didn't have anything set at this point, and I just wanted to get this done with because I didn't want to think about it anymore. And so I'm crying, and she is frazzling me, and every question that she asked me, it's like I'm looking at my spreadsheet, the information's right there, but I couldn't see a thing, and I could not form a thought. to actually come out of my mouth. So anyway, needless to say, it didn't go well. And that's not me. That's not who I am. I'm actually normally, if somebody's very dismissive with me or abrasive like that, I actually will typically very diplomatically call them on it. And, you know, things like, I don't really think that this approach is necessary. Can we start over? That kind of thing. And she just had me. She totally had me. And this is the kind of thing that Dave has talked about. And while she wasn't mean and she didn't do anything that was illegal, she's very good at her job. And so I ended up committing to the $377 for 24 months. Now, here's the thing about that. I didn't tell Matt before I did that. And he did not receive that well. And rightfully so. I had told him it was going to be this amount or that amount, and I was confident that that's what it was going to be, and I told him what the number crunching looked like and all of that, and now I just committed to, depending on which number you're talking about, $225 or $125 more per month to pay this bill. The bill needs to be paid. I totally get that. We just needed it to be lower so that we could build our debt snowball and get some of our smaller stuff paid off and build it and get to it quicker and be able to knock it out quicker. So fast forward a few days, and the first payment came out on July 15th, and we've since had another payment come out on July 15th. And another thing that came out of this whole thing was, on that lawsuit, I had a court date on August 10th. So what I ended up doing was, I was going to go to that court date no matter what. So it was 8:30 in the morning, and I took the day off. It was a Friday. I took the day off because I didn't know how long it was going to take, and I also didn't know what condition I was going to be in when I got done. So Matt had been very worried about me during this time because of how this affected me. And so the day before, he surprised me. He called me at work to tell me that he had gotten approval from his manager to take the whole next day off to come with me. So, and to be with me for anything that I needed. So I was very surprised, but then just really glad that I had my partner with me. So here's what happened. We went to the county courthouse, which is just a few minutes away. Excuse me, I have terrible allergies, and that's what all this coughing is. I'm trying to pause it and not include it with you guys, but I apologize. So we went to the courthouse, and then she said, we're not doing any trials today. We're just, I think she said, putting in judgments or whatever you call it. And so there was an attorney. We were in the back part of the room, and there was an attorney there that we all needed to speak with. And so I was the last one to get to him. We weren't the last one in the room, but I was the last one to get to him, primarily because I was just really not sure what to do, and I was just numb. I walked in that day numb. I was not emotional. I was just very even-keeled, and I just didn't know what to expect. So I was bracing myself for the worst, and I walked up to the attorney and handed him the sheet that I had signed and sent back to the law firm, and it was my copy, and I said, and he looked at it and he said, oh, I already have this. He said, we're just dismissing the case today, but I'll sign this for you so that you have a formal signature on your document, on your copy. I said, okay. I mean, like, I was just surprised. And he said, yeah, I'm just going to enter the judgment to dismiss, and this is going to be done. Since you've already set everything up with Citibank, there's not going to be any proceedings moving forward. So that was a relief, but it just felt so anticlimactic. It was like, I just took the whole day off from work for this. And it was great to have a Friday off. It was a beautiful day, and it ended up turning out fine. But it was very short. I don't think we were there for even a half hour total waiting to talk to that guy. And I didn't stay to listen to him talk to the judge. We just went ahead and left. But it was very simple. I went for two reasons. One, I wanted to make sure that Citibank did what they said they were going to do, which was dismiss the case. And two, I wanted to learn more about the whole process. was thinking in terms of you guys and how can I share so that you guys can learn from my mistakes. So those were the two big reasons that I did it. So let's talk about those 4 things that I learned the hard way through this process. Number 1, you need to contact your creditors sooner than later. If you are not able to pay for any reason, you should contact them and have consistent communication with them. I knew this. I have heard Dave Ramsey and other people talk about this. All kinds of YouTubers talk about it out here. But I now know why people don't do it. It's terrifying to have to call. So, and it's different for each person. I was somebody who had never not paid my bills ever in my life, and I had a whole lot of emotions that went with that, and I just I couldn't bring myself to do it. It took a lot of energy out of me, and yeah, so I didn't do it, and it backfired on me. Number 2, when you call, you need to be honest about your circumstances and your situation. That was one of the hardest things for me to do was to, first of all, I knew I was going to be emotional, so I didn't want to do that, but I don't have a whole lot of control over that. And the second thing was I didn't want to tell people I couldn't pay my bill. I mean, it was obvious like I wasn't paying my bill, but I didn't want to say I couldn't pay my bill. And that's just, you have to get over that. Don't make the mistake I did. Give them a call and stay in contact with them consistently and giving them an update on what your circumstances are. Number 3, don't contact them when you are at the height of emotion, especially if it's negative emotions. We get more with honey than we do with vinegar. And so, getting angry and that kind of thing definitely is not going to work in your favor. But even crying, I feel like it makes me a lot harder to work with. I wasn't trying to get sympathy. I just didn't want to cry with these people that I didn't know. So try to be in a positive headspace. So because I did that, I didn't cry as much as I think I would have. I was able to, my voice cracked or quivered, whatever, when I was talking, but I didn't really cry, which is what I expected myself to do. So that really helped. And, if you think about it, when you're making calls, when you are in a negative emotional space like that, you're going to get one of 2 things: nowhere, or a place that you don't want to be. $377 a month. So don't make those mistakes either. Number 4, you need to know all of your financial details when you call. And one of the things that they asked, they're going to ask your circumstances. So I would say my husband hasn't been working since last July, and they would say typically they responded compassionately, and then they said, do you have is there any plan for a return date? And I had to explain that he was not able to return, that he had tried several times and he kept relapsing. So you have to explain your circumstances to them and how it's impacting your finances. So that's why you need to understand your finances. So have the details of your outgoing expenses and your incoming cash flow. That will make the call go so much better. So those are the 4 things that I learned, and in thinking on this since then, even within a couple of weeks after this all happened, I was actually off on vacation. So this all happened on the 12th of July, and I started my vacation on the 19th, and I had 7 working days off of work. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I vacationed at home, but I had a lot of time to think. And, in thinking back on this, one of the reasons why I responded so negatively and so sharply was because I had fear of the unknown. Oh my gosh, this is almost $400 coming out of my budget. I've been doing so well. We've been doing the debt snowball, and we've had money for emergencies. And what am I going to do if it's $400 a month? It's eating into that. And it just made me really uncomfortable to think about it. And that first payment coming out, I was so uneasy. And the second payment in August was easier. And I think with every month it'll get easier as I get used to that being in the budget. But quite honestly, I'd been comfortable probably since March. I'd really kind of fell into a comfort zone. Now, there was a lot of uncertainty in how I was doing things, but we were giving our money a name. And while we weren't doing everything right, we were doing way more right than what we had been doing before. So not just before we went on a budget, but when Matt went off work, we didn't change our behavior. We had terrible spending, and we didn't keep track of anything. So we just ran out of money every month, and we have a lot of it. If you've watched any of my budget videos, we have a really nice income. There's no reason for us to run out of money. So anyhow, I guess my point is, honestly, we're $250,000 in debt, or we were at the beginning. We don't get to be comfortable. Uncomfortable, that's where we need to be. That's where we need to be to get ourselves out of this mess. So that was really another, I guess that might be my fifth lesson that I learned about myself, and just really, I'm in counseling, so my counselor really helped me with trying to get to the bottom of this, of why I responded so negatively and so strongly to this. So yeah, that's it. We don't get to be comfortable. So we have 24 months to pay $377, and we've already done 2 of them. So there are 22 left, and I have no intention of this taking 22 months. So we will be to that debt on the list long before that and have it paid off, I'm hoping, at least 6 months early. So when we set our goals for 2019, that is one of the ones that I'm going to have on the list, is I want that bad boy paid off in 2019. Otherwise, the last payment is in June of 2020. So if you made it this far, I want to thank you for sticking around for the gory details. I hope that you have learned something here that you can take away, whether it be for yourself or to share with someone else. I want to thank those of you who have been sticking around. I actually, I have only done 2 videos in the last 6 weeks, and one was easy. It's the budget video, and I don't have to be on it, and it's very straightforward. But the other one that I put up last week, or a couple weeks ago, was called Debt, Depression, and a Hiatus. And that's all part of that playlist that I marked earlier for you. But I was actually nervous to get on here and do this today. So I just want to thank you guys for sticking around during my hiatus, for coming back now that I'm finally putting some content out here. I've changed up my setting here. I'm in a new room. I've got some new lighting. I've got a not new camera. Actually, this camera is from 2010, but it's a video camera that we bought, so we have for our wedding and all of the activities around it. And we haven't used it for like 6 years, and I made my husband find it, and it's working great, I think. We'll see when I edit this and how it all works. So with that, we would love to hear from you about if you have any questions for us, whether they be about feedback or questions or sharing your story. Like I said, if you've had something similar happen and you've learned lessons from it, our community can learn from that. So feel free to share that down in the comments. And if you'd rather not do that publicly, I always include my email address in the description. It's thebudgetbounce@gmail.com. So you can always contact me there. And I just want to thank everyone who's been around and been very supportive and sharing words of encouragement, both here on YouTube, and I've gotten some personal messages. And I really, really appreciate them. And they do truly help. So with that, make sure that you are leaving a comment below and give this a thumbs up if you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. So until next time.